Hi, today I'm going to be showing you how to hook up the old Xbox 360 to the new ONKYO TX-NR616. I'm going to run through some of the connections and setups so you can get a picture and sound onto your display. Firstly, we're going to cover the actual connections on the rear of both units, and then we'll go through and hook it up. So first up is the Xbox 360 connection. We're going to use the multi-AV connector to go from the back of the 360 to the component input on the back of the 616. Then we're going to be running HDMI from the 616 off to the display. Now the first thing we have to do is actually make sure that the 360 is outputting the correct resolution. And here on the connector we need to select TV, not HD TV, because the 616 will only accept a 480p 576p signal via the component. Now we've done that, we can go ahead and plug it in. Now that the multi-AV connector is actually seated properly and connected to the 360, we can now turn our attention to the 616. Now here we're going to actually be connected into the component input, which is the red, blue and green. It is pre-labelled for cable sat, but we're actually going to change that in the OSD of the 616 later on. And there we go, it's all hooked up for the video. Now because we want 5.1 from the 360, we actually need to connect up the optical lead as well. So I'm going to plug it into the back of the multi-AV connector and then connect the other end to the optical input number 1, which just happens to be labelled game. And that's it. As far as the connections are done, we're all complete. Now we can go into the on-screen displays and set the units up. Now what we have to do is to actually assign the component in and the optical in to the particular button on the front of the unit, and in this case we're going to be using the game button. So we go into the setup of the 616, we go to input output assign, down to HDMI input, and then we select game, and we need to deselect the HDMI input on the game button, and this will force the unit to look at another input. So we're going to move down to the component video input, press enter, and then we deselect the single component input, which is default to cable sat, and then we're going to re-establish that on the game input. So now the video information from the 360 will actually be picked up on the game input. Now that's all the video taken care of. So now we've done that, we need to now look at the audio side of things and assign the audio input. So we've moved down to digital input, press enter, and then we can actually see that the game input already has optical 1 assigned. So we don't actually need to do anything here, but we do need to tell the 616 to look at the optical input. And this is where we need to move down to the source setup. So using the nav buttons on the remote, I'll skip down until I find the source setup, press enter. Then I need to move down to number 6, which is the audio selector. Now at the audio selector, we actually press enter, and it's actually defaulted to optical, and this is because there was no HDMI selected. If you were using HDMI for picture and optical for sound, this would actually need to be changed from HDMI to optical. And then the last thing that we can do is we can actually edit the name input. So instead of calling it game, we can actually call it Xbox 360. There you go. Now that is the whole of the 616 actually set up and done. Now while making this video, I did unfortunately have a bit of a casualty, and this will be the 360 and the Ring of Doom. So unfortunately I can't actually bring you the OSD of the 360. But all you need to do is make sure that the resolution is set to 480 576p and the audio is via bitstream on the optical out. And that's it, and you're done. Well, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.